So, hi everyone, and welcome to the session delve into ABAP Cloud on SAP BTP ABAP environment. Here we will be dealing with building transactional SAP Fiori elements with some of the latest features of the ABAP RESTful application programming model. My name is Carine Djomo, and I'm a product manager for the ABAP platform at SAP. I will be your host, but I'm not alone today. So hi, Merve. I'm very happy to host this session with you.
Thank you, Carine. I'm also so happy to be here with you. My name is Merve Temel. I'm also a product manager. And today we're giving you an overview on the exercises. And feel free to ask questions in the QA tool. And we also have two colleagues in the back office helping us answering the questions. So yeah, we're happy to be here, and back to you, Carine.
Thank you. So hi, Andre and Harish, and let's go into the session. So on the screen, you can see a short agenda, or just set the context, and then we will go over to this scenario. Some of you may have already performed the exercises. Some of you haven't. This is not a problem. As Merve already mentioned, just feel free to ask questions. So ABAP Cloud, what is ABAP Cloud? It's our new ABAP development model on the SAP, on the ABAP platforms, being on SAP BTP ABAP environment, or on all editions of SAP S/4HANA, be it on-premise or in the cloud. So it's very important that we have here a single development models which can be used throughout these different products and for different type of use cases. So what is comprised in ABAP Cloud? So first of all, we have the programming model to cover different type of scenarios, be it transactional, analytical, or integration scenarios. And to increase the product developer productivity, reduce total cost of development, we offer a bunch of reuse services and libraries. And of course, when working with ABAP Cloud, built-in enterprise and cloud qualities are offered out of the box automatically, as we expect from product built on top of the ABAP platform. And the whole is complemented with powerful and proven lifecycle management, Git base here, and also a variety of tools, be it the ABAP development tools for Eclipse, but also monitoring and key user extensibility tools are provided in this context. So today, in this session, we will be working, the focus is on the ABAP RESTful application programming model, which is at the heart of the ABAP Cloud development model when it comes to transactional scenarios. So it's very important for analytical scenarios. We have ABAP Analytics, so to embedded analytics here. And also for integration scenarios, we have different protocols supported. So on the screen, you can see the end-to-end stack of the end-to-end stack when building applications here with RAP. At the bottom, we have the SAP HANA database, where beside SQL, also the native HANA SQL script language can be used to fully leverage the power of HANA advanced capabilities into ABAP-based applications. In the middle, we have the domain-specific models and implementations, so the ABAP language and the ABAP core data services are the main languages used here in the context of RAP and in ABAP Cloud in general. ABAP language has been very modernized, and also a cloud-optimized version is offered for the ABAP Cloud development, and core data services is our data modeling infrastructure here. For transactional applications, we have so-called business objects which can be defined and implemented with the ABAP RESTful application models. And for simple queries, CDS modeling entities can be used for the purpose. For the exposure of the data and the implemented logic, we use service binding on top of service definitions, where we can define the scope of a given services, so the relevant entity sets that have to be exposed in the service, and also service projection, where we can really define use case specific data model and also the business logic. So in the context of RAP, we are building all data services which can be exposed for the purpose of SAP Fiori development, but also for integration purposes, so to be exposed as web APIs. And also, of course, we support different types of integrations, be it over business events for loosely coupled integration scenarios, but also other protocols like RFC, SOAP, and so on. So, and this is the focus of today's scenario. So here, a brief overview of what is offered in the exercise. We will build a Fiori element-based applications. To be more precise, you will build these service underlying the application. So the focus is more on the ABAP side, implementation side of the application. But of course, because the possibility is provided, you will also be able to add some visuals, gimmicks to the application, just to have an idea, a glimpse of whatever is possible, but it's just a subset. We will use various features, virtual elements, let numbering, which is a typically used in the case of gap-free assigning of primary keys, and side effects also, very important to have a refresh of the UI triggered under certain conditions. And business events also, because it's also very important to know that in the RAP context, we can model and raise business events, which can be consumed remotely over the SAP event mesh, but also locally in the same system. And in the exercise, you will also work with different type of actions, instance and factory actions here. So here, also, you will have a navigation to the object page with different capabilities, also all data stream support for file upload, but also the draft enablement, which is also a very important feature that is already familiar to most of you when it comes to building transactional applications with stateless technologies. So I will briefly go into the system to show you the resulting app. So here in the ABAP world, we develop our applications in the ABAP development tool. So in all the exercises will be performed on the SAP BTP ABAP environment trial. And we have a package here that you can add to your favorites and have a look at the solution. And you will be also working on your own exercises. Maybe before I show the app, an important step, but everything is documented in on GitHub. So you have step-by-step instruction. You will generate your own exercise package and then go over throughout the exercise, enhance the logic of the applications. So let me just start a preview of the app here. So like I mentioned, this is a SAP Fiori element app. On top, we have a full text, free text search and filtering capabilities. Here we can see variety of non-standard actions that are implemented in the applications. And yeah, so here the draft, I can see that somebody else is working on some entities. And for example, virtual elements have been used in this application to define define and calculate transient fields, which are not part of the underlying data model. That means here we have used it, for example, to provide some UI semantic depending on the value of the overall status. And so you will be working also with virtual elements. The application here, you can see I have one-click actions. You will be able, for example, to have upload a file. This is the OData stream, and have a look at it. And you will also learn from the backend how to work with large objects. An example here of validation are common, but for example, the side effects, here I have the total price and I have the booking fees and the flight price. So the total price is of course an addition. And of course I would like, as soon as I enhance the value of a field, that the total price is recalculated, and this is done via side effects without me having to save the data. So we have various type of side effects that can be triggered. For example, also we can trigger that as soon as a value is changed, maybe a validation is triggered, so you will play around with the application and learn a lot. And interesting, so here we can see I have some errors, so this is a typical validation. I can just change the dates here to a more normal date, for example, and let me put it, yeah. So, an example also interesting is the standard create function, which can be changed with a so-called factory function. And here we can have a kind of deep create that the standard function will have create operation will have automatically just create a travel entity. But here I'm able to create travel and booking together. So these are kind of different type of function that we offered here. So. There is a lot that you will be able to test in the exercise, so please go ahead and just perform the exercise. And how to perform the exercises, for that I will hand over to Merve, back to you.
Thank you, Carine. So now I want to give you an overview on the exercises and show you some tips and tricks. So here we have the first link, which is the access link to the GitHub exercises. But before we can get started with the exercises, we need to do 3 main steps as prerequisites. So the first step would be the installation of the latest Eclipse and also the latest ADT plugin. We have a tutorial link for that. And then we need to create a SAP BTP ABAP environment trial user. We have to be aware that this trial user should be a new one, not older than 1 week. And if we have one that is older than 1 week, then please delete your trial user and create a new one. This is needed because we have new trial instances with the helper class. And with that helper class, we will then generate basically our exercise packages. Also linked as a tutorial, and the last step would be the creation of an ABAP Cloud project, also linked as a tutorial. And here we again link the exercises. On the right side we see an example. So we have the introduction on the top and the table of contents, and underneath we can see the step-by-step instructions. Each exercise has an outline view which we can activate on the top right corner. And with this outline view, we can navigate through the exercises. We also included booster exercises. With booster exercises, we can go through different sections more quickly. And these booster exercises are in the table of contents and marked with the light bulb symbol. Please also make use of the copy button. With the copy button, you can easily copy code snippets and paste it in Eclipse. And as we can see here in the screenshot, we have placeholders, and we need to change those placeholders with our own ID. And how we can do that? So in the first exercise, we will create our own exercise package. And after generating our own exercise package, we see an output in the ABAP console. So we can see here the suffix 810, and this is basically our ID that we need to change. And after executing the helper class and generating the exercise package, this is the result that we can see in the Project Explorer. So we have here all the wrap artifacts of the basic UI services that we then enhance throughout the exercises. And whenever you have an issue, feel free to open a GitHub issue. We will then answer, of course, your questions or help with your issues. And now to the glossary. We also included the glossary with all the used RAP features and the link to the documentation. So after your workshop, you can use this glossary to have a look at all the RAP features. Now back to you, Carine.
Thank you, Merve. So again, go through the exercises and experiment them, especially also, I mentioned it, didn't show it in the demo, but the business events, you will also learn how to consume a business event raised in RAP applications from another class or another applications within the same system. So it's really handy and very nice to experiment with. Before we go to the Q&A, let's just you will receive the presentation is available on the GitHub, and there we've provided also a variety of links to the documentations, for example, what's new, because on the SAP BTP ABAP environment, we release new features quarterly, on a quarterly basis, and twice a year in SAP S/4HANA Public Cloud, and starting with release 2023 every 2 years on SAP S/4HANA on-premise and in the private cloud. So please make use of this link. Also, the ABAP platform roadmap information is provided so that you can see what's coming next. And also here a list of related sessions to ABAP Cloud that have been held during the events, and the replay will be available. So please have a look at them. Then you will have also various details, because what you are learning in this session is not just valid, applicable on the SAP S/4HANA, SAP BTP ABAP environment, but it is also valid for SAP S/4HANA in the cloud and on-premise. So. And here you have also some grid learning offerings that are there. Please join the different community groups that are there and exchange with your fellow developers. Also make use of the discount on SAP certification exams. The information should have been part of your registration email. So just use this opportunity and expand your network. Exactly. So I think doing that, we will go over to Q&A and see how go over your questions.
Live Q&A.
Okay. So here we have questions on the share and the screen. Okay, so the first question is from Rach. So hi, Rach. How does the RAP model compare against the CAP model? Are there areas where RAP performs better, and is the preferred development approach over CAP? So this is a question about kind of when to use CAP of RAP. So we will say that both models are there, and also, for example, RAP is for the ABAP development, and CAP there is for Java, Node.js development. Both are there to perform for development on the SAP BTP ABAP, on the SAP BTP platform. And when to use what should be more depending on your requirements, so because both a solution provides the capabilities to build to develop application on the SAP BTP platform. RAP, besides, is also available on premise here. So for the SAP S/4HANA, the different edition of SAP S/4HANA. Both programming models have a similar approach. CDS is the data modeling language, and on top you have service models which are expressed differently. So yeah, I hope this gives you an idea and give an answer to your questions. Yeah. So the second question is from Elodie Coinald. Sorry if I'm doing a mistake. For customers already on SAP S/4HANA on-premise with Fiori and HANA, what is the added value of using ABAP Cloud on BTP instead of using the classic ABAP on-premise? Okay. So the questions, I will take it, is twofolded. So ABAP Cloud, as I mentioned, is available on SAP S/4HANA and on SAP BTP. So if you have a side-by-side scenario that is developed in ABAP, then you will be building your application on the SAP BTP. But if it's an application that is developed on stack, then we will strongly recommend to use ABAP Cloud instead of the classic ABAP, because by doing that, you are developing already a cloud-ready application, and in most of the times, customers and partners are already planning to move into the cloud. So using ABAP Cloud gives you the possibility to have a clean core compliant development for your stack. And this is why we will really recommend using ABAP Cloud wherever possible if you're on the appropriate release. ABAP Cloud is available on-premise, starting with release 2022, but there are also possibility with lower release and using the appropriate ABAP test cockpit check to also develop already ABAP Cloud conform, so in a way. So. The question, maybe, Merve, you want to read the question?
In on-premise, we can define CDS view and then expose them as OData through annotations, and this can be consumed in Web IDE for Fiori apps. What's the additional benefit with this approach?
Okay, yeah, this is it has to do with the predecessor of RAP, with the ABAP programming model for SAP Fiori. So there, the scenario here is used with the use of the business object processing framework, business object. So with RAP, we offer really so much commodities and a programming model for brownfield and greenfield scenarios, and with a lot of capabilities which are not available in the predecessor programming model. Therefore, the new way how we build and develop our data services is the use of service binding and service definition. And underneath, RAP is the best approach and the one that is supported also in ABAP Cloud. So the predecessor model is not part of ABAP Cloud. It can be used in the classic ABAP development, but not in the context of ABAP Cloud. So in CDS, yes, like I already mentioned, this is a former approach and that would not fit in the context of ABAP Cloud. So the OData published through solution is available as part of the ABAP programming model for SAP Fiori, which is based on the business object processing framework. Of course, read-only applications can also be built with this approach, but this is not part of ABAP Cloud. So really, even for analytical scenario, this is the session coming after this. If you have time, we use CDS and the service binding and service definition to expose the data services using OData v4 also, because the OData published through will also be on the OData version 2. So, and all the facilities and commodities offered for efficient development of OData services and version 4 is all these commodities are provided in the RAP and is ABAP analytics context. I hope so. There is no more questions. Okay. Okay. So it was our pleasure to guide you through the session, and feel free to ask questions. Maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, if you have questions, please open GitHub issues. We will be there for you.
Great. Thank you, Merve.
Thank you, Carine.
Yes, thank you.